Hello guys, Mr. Stamkos here, and today I am going to be counting down the top 10 goalies so far this season. We're about 20 games into the NHL season, and I got 10 goalies here. I'm going to write them down on the whiteboard, and this is just my list of the top 10 goalies this year. You can agree or disagree with my picks. That's up to you, but I think these are the top 10 goalies this year so far. So here at number 10, I have Igor Shasturkin. Now, Igor Shasturkin for the Rangers is 5-7-1 in 14 games played. He has 0 shutouts so far and 240 goals against average and a .917 save percentage, which are good numbers. Of course, coming over after last season, I'd say he's living up to his expectations, but the Rangers currently are just bad. They're not good at all. They're currently 24th in the league, and I think, that 5-7-1 record for Shasturkin doesn't really live up to how he's playing, because I don't think he's playing bad. I think his team's playing bad, but, as a goalie, there's really nothing you can do about a bad team or a bad defense. You just got to play it out and hope that people don't blame you for the losing. But that is number 10 on my list. And moving on to number 9. I'm going to go with this goalie, who I think was a bit higher earlier on in the season, but has kind of dropped a little bit as of late. At number 9, I'm going to put Philip Grubauer. So Philip Grubauer for the Colorado Avalanche, who are currently sitting 17th in the league. I don't know if anyone expected that. I think they were a guaranteed top 5 team, but things just really haven't been too great for them. One of the good things, though, has been Philip Grubauer. In 16 games, he has a 10-6-0 record with 2 shutouts, as well as a 220 goals against average and a .915 save percentage. So Grubauer is putting up good numbers. Maybe the team's not doing as much as he would like them to do, but they've been good as of recently. Yeah, recently they've been pretty good. They just lost 6-2 to the Sharks, though, last night, so that's not too great, but, I think Grubauer's doing fine for the Avalanche. And, yeah, let's move on to number 8. And number 8, I think this is a guy who, people weren't really expecting to have this kind of season, but I think he's one of the really bright spots on this team right now. And he just got injured too, and that is Linus Ullmark for the Buffalo Sabres here at number 8. Now, Linus Ullmark, after last season, people were talking about, they need a replacement. Ullmark's not going to get the job done. And what I would say to that is he will. And I had confidence in Ullmark going into the season. So far, he is 5-4-2 in 12 games played, 0 shutouts. He just got injured, though, which really sucks for him. He has a 2.44 goals against average and a .919 save percentage, and I think if Ullmark hasn't been playing the way he's played, then Buffalo would be in even more of a hole than they already are in, because they currently sit 31st. You can't get any worse, but without Ullmark's goaltending, they could be a lot deeper down in 31st than they currently are. I think they can work their way up from 31st once Ullmark gets back, but that's about a month away or something, I think. So that's number 8. Now we're moving on to number 7, and now this is where it gets tough, I think. But I think you got to put this guy at 7. And that is Chris Drieger. Now, Chris Drieger, Czech Republic-born goaltender, but last year as Florida's backup at the end of the year there, I saw some real potential in him, and I said, he's going to come over and he's going to be really good. He's going to take that starter position, and lo and behold, I think he has. In 11 games, he's 7-2-2 with no shutouts, a 225 goals against average, and a .926 save percentage, and the Florida Panthers are in 4th. Yeah, and I think that Florida being in that position has a lot to do with Chris Drieger, because he is playing outstanding. Sergei Bobrovsky is slowly starting to get better, but Chris Drieger, I think, is really carrying that team with his goaltending right now. If they didn't have his goaltending, then, who knows where they would be in the standings. Definitely not fourth, though. So now we're moving on to 6. And this might be a bit tough for some people, but I'm putting him here. At 6, I got Connor Hellebuyck. So Connor Hellebuyck has not played bad whatsoever this year. I just think that the 5 guys ahead of him are outplaying him. Yeah, Connor Hellebuyck, very, very good goalie. Won the Vezina last year for Winnipeg. In 17 games, he's 11-6-1 with 0 shutouts. He has a .259 goals against average and a .915 save percentage, which I think are very good numbers. And, he could be lower on this list, obviously, behind guys like Drieger and Ullmark. I would still put him above Grubauer and Shasturkin, but I think Hellebuyck has taken a step back this year. He's not as good as last year, and I think people have to realize that, but I still think he's a very good goalie. I still think he's top 5 in the league. He's just being outplayed by 5 guys right now. So let's move on to number 4. And by the way, Winnipeg's 5th in the league too. And Hellebuyck is a big part of that. Number 5. I think this guy is insane. I don't really like him, though. At number 5, I got Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, you could argue to put Fleury higher. You definitely could, and I think he could be higher, but I just think there's 4 guys outplaying Fleury right now. So Marc-Andre Fleury in 13 games for the Golden Knights is 10-3-0 with 3 shutouts, which is outstanding. He has a .177 goals against average and a .935 save percentage, which are the best numbers of his career. And doing this at 36 is just totally insane. Fleury can play until he's 45. I think he's going to be another Ryan Miller type of guy, but more dominant than Ryan Miller. He's going to be put in that starter role. Currently, Vegas is 10th, so obviously, a little bit of a struggle for them. I wouldn't say they're struggling per se, but I would just say that they're not living up to expectations. But Fleury, I think, is definitely outplaying expectations. And Robin Leonard, I haven't even heard a thing about him this season, so I'm assuming that he's not doing very great. But I got Fleury here at 5. Let's move on to number 4. And this may be a surprise to some people, but he is playing very well. At number 4, I got Cal Peterson. Now, don't rip my head off yet, okay? Don't rip my head off yet. Cal Peterson, I think, is playing outstanding. Just take a look. In 11 games, he has 4-4-2, which the record isn't great, okay? But if LA keeps going the way they are, and Cal Peterson keeps going the way he's going, and LA makes it to the playoffs, I think that they could be a very, very underdog type of team. Currently, LA is 19th and sit in a wild card spot, I believe, and I think that they could easily work their way up to the top 15 in the league, maybe not top 10, but definitely top 15. Cal Peterson currently has a .243 goals against average and a .928 save percentage. .928, which is the second best on this board, and it goes to show that just because he's placed on a bad team and the record isn't great doesn't mean he's not playing great. I think Cal Peterson is easily the goalie of the future for the Kings, and he's playing like he deserves it right now. So he's got number 4 on my list. Number 3, this one might also come as a shock to some people, but you know what? This is just my opinion. Number 3, I got Semyon Varlamov. Now, Semyon Varlamov for the New York Islanders, missed a week or 2 at the beginning of the year, but has still played 17 games so far. He is 10-4-3 with 3 shutouts himself, which, he's a big reason why the Islanders are doing well this year because, last year they weren't amazing. They were not an amazing team. They're lucky that the play-in round happened, but he's 10-4-3 with 3 shutouts. The Islanders are currently 7th place, and Varlamov, right here, has a big part in that. He's having a career year by far. 210 goals against average and a 927 save percentage. And, those 3 shutouts really help a lot. And once we get to about the midpoint of the season, when I maybe make this video again, maybe Varlamov doesn't even make this list, because when you have a goalie with 10 wins but 3 shutouts, like, that really pads his stats. But I think Varlamov really flourishes in the Islanders system. He's a great fit for them, and I think he's bringing them results this season that they desperately needed and wanted to see from him. And I think he definitely deserves to be at 3rd spot on this list right now, because he's playing like he deserves it. Now, number 2. This may also be a surprise to some people, but, when I'm talking about the top 10 goalies in the league, I'm not talking about based on numbers. I'm talking about what they're doing for their team. And at number 2, Kevin Lankinen is the reason the Blackhawks are in the playoffs right now. There's no question about it that without Kevin Lankinen, the Chicago Blackhawks are outside of the playoffs. They're in the bottom 20 of the league, and they are struggling and looking for a way to win, but can't find it. And Kevin Lankinen has brought hope to this team. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Blackhawks, even though I got the shirt on because of Kevin Lankinen being this high, but in 15 games played, he's 9-3-3 with 1 shutout, which is just amazing for a rookie goalie. Don't be surprised if he wins the Calder over a guy like Kirill Kaprizov or Josh Norris or Tim Stützle. I think Kevin Lankinen is easily just as worthy as those guys, if not more. But he has a 9-3-3 with 1 shutout, 2.55 goals against average, and a 924 save percentage. And Chicago currently sits 8th. Now, for Kevin Lankinen and the Chicago Blackhawks, Malcolm Subban and Colin Delia were not getting it done. Now, Malcolm Subban has been a lot better as of recent, not having all that pressure in the starter role, and I think he's a suitable NHL backup for sure. But Kevin Lankinen is taking this league by storm. No one saw it coming. They threw him in, hope for the best, and he turned out. This could be their Corey Crawford for the next 10 years, a guy who's never going to be, a huge blowaway on the score sheet or the stat sheet or whatever, but is a very solid number 1 starter that can get it done in the regular season and get it done in the playoffs. And I think Chicago found another one in Kevin Lankinen. But moving on to number 1, this should be no surprise to anybody because he is putting up just insane numbers right now. And I'm really happy he's putting up these numbers as a Tampa fan. At number 1, you got Andrei Vasilevskiy. Now, Andrei Vasilevskiy, what can you say? He's the best goalie in the league. He has been for the past 3 years. And there's really no argument to it, I think. You can't argue at this point. In 17 games, Andrei Vasilevskiy is in 17 games played, he's not 17. He's 13-3-1 with 3 shutouts, and those 3 shutouts currently are coming on a 3-game shutout streak. And he just got the record for that for the Tampa Bay Lightning organization. He just shut out Dallas 2-0 last night, which I'm super happy about. But Tampa Bay, who currently sits 2nd in the league, Vasilevskiy, obviously a huge part of that success, currently has a 165 goals against average. I'll just give you a second to wrap your head around that. A 165 and a 942 save percentage. Just hand the guy the Vezina now. Vasilevskiy, I think, is going to be the goalie of the next 10 years. He's just so good. He is outrageously good. And, I could see this guy falling into the top 10 goalies of all time. Top 25 for sure, I think. I think he's just already proven so much at his time in the NHL. And, there's really not enough words I can say for Andrei Vasilevskiy. He is so good. And don't be surprised to see him at this number 1 spot for top 10 goalies in the league for literally the next 10 years, because it's going to happen. But anyways, this is my list for the top 10 goalies in the league right now. I got an honorable mention for Mackenzie Blackwood. I could also go with Yaroslav Halak. But yeah, tell me if you guys agree or disagree with this list. I think it's a pretty decent list. Not the best, obviously. It's missing guys like John Gibson, but I think John Gibson's kind of been a little bit lackluster as of recently, so I decided not to put him on this list, but definitely an honorable mention. But anyways, guys, this is Mr. Stamkos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. But for now, bye.